We are well aware that when we make decisions, whether in a negotiation or elsewhere, we are guided by both rational thinking and emotions. But our rationality is often compromised as we are unable to process complex information without resorting to rules of thumb and cognitive shortcuts. That is, we often make decisions under uncertainty without a clear understanding of trade offs, benefits, and costs, and the true probability of future events. We know from the field of cognitive psychology that there are numerous cognitive biases that people are susceptible to. And many of these biases are very relevant to the negotiation process. In fact, as negotiators, we should be aware of these for at least two reasons. One, we want to recognize when we ourselves are about to make a mistake in our decision-making process. And two, we might want to take advantage of these cognitive biases as we present information to the other party. Let me here highlight 4 cognitive biases that might get a negotiator into trouble. The first cognitive bias I want to mention is called anchoring and adjustment. When faced with uncertainty, we tend to focus on an easily available piece of information and then adjust from there. This reference value can be pretty arbitrary, but in a negotiation, it tends to be the opening bid. That is, the negotiation tends to be anchored by the opening bid, and the two parties adjust from there. That is, they make concessions from the opening bid. The implication is that if you are well prepared, then you want to be the one to make the opening bid in order to anchor the negotiation at a favorable point to you. The second cognitive bias I want to mention is framing. It is a fact that the way a situation is presented or framed greatly influences what will happen during the negotiation. If you frame the negotiation in the wrong way, it might be very difficult to reach a favorable outcome, or even reach any outcome at all. Here's an example. People really do not like to lose. This is actually another cognitive bias known as loss aversion. But people want to avoid a loss much more than they want to make a gain. Thus, in a negotiation, if you can frame your proposal as a way for the other party to avoid a loss, that can be more powerful than if you frame it as a possible gain. The third cognitive bias I want to highlight is overconfidence. It's of course good to enter a negotiation confident, but being overly confident and overly optimistic can easily result in risky decisions. So although we want to be confident in our preparation and in our ability to communicate, we have to be aware of overconfidence, which results in overestimation of our own ability to craft a deal and a belief that we know more than we actually do. It might also result in an inability and unwillingness to listen to the other party's ideas and proposals. The fourth cognitive bias that I want to mention is self-serving bias. Most biases will tend to cause us to make decisions that are against our own interest, but the self-serving bias does the opposite. It motivates us to reach conclusions that are favorable to us. One way this shows up is that we will see and interpret information in a way that favors us excessively. Well, interpreting information in an irrationally self-serving way will not make reaching an agreement easier. An example is fairness. When we view fairness with a self-serving bias, we might react unfavorably to proposals, which in turn can lead to a breakdown of the negotiation. And this is especially true if both parties suffer from a self-serving bias. There are literally dozens of cognitive biases that we should be aware of. But I encourage you to watch out for the impact of anchoring, framing, overconfidence, and self-serving bias.